Yes, yes. Welcome in. It's Balloon Party, driven by Munganess, St. Louis Acura, and Munganess, Burkhardt, Alton Toyota on 101 ESPN and the 101 ESPN YouTube channel. My name is Tim McKernan, joined by Jackson Burkett. Jackson, good morning. Hello again, everybody. We will act like we didn't just do a 3-hour show on HD2. How are you today?
Good. Good to see you, Tim.
Nice. I like that. That was organic.
Always great to see those baby blues.
Really?
Yeah.
Especially with this light blue, powder blue, dare I say, hoodie.
Yeah.
And I think it brings out my eyes. I'm excited about my eyes.
Yeah. Yeah, you're a little darling.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Meanwhile, make yourself at home, Rock.
Yeah, Matt Rocchio is...
So much room over here.
What is going on back
He's
there?
boxing me out.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Trying to grab a board.
Matt Rocchio is forcing Jackson out, but he's trying to help us with John Mozeliak audio is what he's trying to help us with.
Being very helpful. I appreciate you, Rock.
He's a gentleman. There he is. Fire up, CB, fire up. All right, Jackson, it is a 1-hour program, and we welcome the people to comment and share their support, really, by texting in the Air Comfort Service text line, 314-399-9646, by participating in the YouTube chat on 101 ESPN. That's sponsored by Air Alliance Team. And you can do that, 101 ESPN channel, and engage there. Boy, they're all in there already. Tiny PP's in there. Adam Well. Is it Well or Wells? I think it's Well.
I like that. Adam Well.
The Dude, Daddy B, Billy Cotner's in there, and, of course, Droid Effects. An ass taster? No, ass taste. I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, my burner got in there.
Anita said hi, Tim. So participate in the conversation and participate in today's Tuesday turbulence.
Yeah, it is. Boy, this plane's just bouncing up and down. I hope you have your seatbelts fastened and your oxygen mask dropped because get ready for some turbulence, baby.
Let's dig in.
We're talking winter meetings.
Wow, Jordan Binnington goes 2019 Stanley Cup Final Game 7 first period in Las Vegas, and he got winter meetings.
You want Benner? I got Benner.
Well, what was the lead?
The lead is the Blues locally because they played last night.
I'll see what the lead was. The lead was the Cardinals.
Well, damn it. Threw me off the scent.
Yeah, all I had to do was open up my email to see what you sent over.
Well, yeah, but...
Hey, listen, you know what? You're the prince of this kingdom. You do what you want to do. You know I'm ready for both of them.
No, well, let's do the Blues. They played last night, OTW. Love to see that in Sin City. The Blues win OT over the Vegas Golden Knights in their pitiful gold uniforms.
Wow, a little shot at the VGK uniforms.
Those should be thrown in the garbage.
Give me your Mount Rushmore of NHL sweaters just to reset.
Sure.
Of the good ones, then I'm going to go Mount Rushmore of your worst ones, because that way I can get you engaged in this conversation before I talk about Jordan Binnington and stealing 2 points on the road against one of the best teams in the NHL. Holy moly, cockatoli, binner, chicken dinner. What a win. How about the PK? How do you do?
Yeah, that road PK is something to watch. Mount Rushmore of good ones goes Maple Leafs, Rangers, Red Wings, Blackhawks.
So you're an original six guy, even though you might not know what that means.
The classics are great. I love the Red Wings one that would hang above. Was it Joey from Full House's room? He had the
Cameron Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
He also, he wore a Gordie Howe jersey. I know who that is. Even though he lived in Chicago, what a contrarian play.
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah, vote Connor Roy. But then my worst, Coyotes, that green thing they got going on, VGK, those gold ones.
I share the VGK opinion.
Oh, the Avalanche, the red and blue ones.
See, I would say it's city red.
Yeah, it's like a scarletish. And they have you have the Colorado State flag. It's a beautiful flag. Use it. And then the Anaheim Ducks and whatever they're doing with that weak-ass little... logo.
I think this might be one of your first hockey opinions in the near 2 years of this show's magical existence on 101 ESPN that even those who are critical of your hockey knowledge and why they are is beyond me.
Thank you.
I think they can get behind this take.
Yeah. I mean, the best is obviously up to each individual, but I think those original ones are really, really... I mean, the Maple Leafs one is gorgeous.
To be an expansion team and really buy, especially in the city of Las Vegas, too, and to blow it with your uniforms as badly as they did.
Oh, it's brutal. The Kraken did a good job when they expanded. They did a good job, but the VGK ones, you got to do better with that logo.
Meanwhile, Jackson, the note is in the second wild card spot. and has a little bit of room. I mean, again, it's super early in the season, but 3 points up on the Predators and 1 point back of our friends, the Arizona Coyotes, who have become to the Blues what the Washington Generals are to the Globetrotters. Not necessarily in results, just apparently they play them all the time. So
Marlins in spring training.
And it's like the Cardinals and Astros and Marlins and Nationals and Mets down in Jupiter. And the Blues are just 3 points back of the Jets, who've been a nemesis ever since the 2019 playoff victory, and the Dallas Stars. They are 4 points back of them and 5 points back of the Colorado Avalanche. I mean, listen, if you would have said 24 games into the season the Blues would be in this spot, I think a lot of people would have been going, oh, really? And I think the thing that's most exciting about it is that they've done it in different ways. At the same time, the thing that keeps you grounded is how bad they can look. You know, I'm really anxious to see. It's a home game against a great team. Vegas leading the Western Conference with 37 points. To see how the two teams adjust with the home at home, with Vegas coming here tomorrow night, playing each other, Binnington playing like he played. I mean, that was a Jordan Binnington win last night. And, of course, the circumstances were not even remotely close to what took place in Boston in June of 2019 for Game 7. But how many opportunities the Golden Knights had in the first period, and how he was just, I mean, that had to fluster the hell out of him. And then, of course, the Blues get the first goal. And then you see Vegas finally break through late. Eichel's been on a heater. And then the Blues still get 2 points. What a win. They just keep doing it in different ways. When they're bad, man, are they bad. But when they're good, somebody or one facet of the game seems to be really good. And I don't know if last night you would call the team's performance really good. You would call an individual's performance really good. You'd call the PK unit really good. That's been there throughout the course of the year. But they got it, and to get 2 points there, that's swiping them, especially with the way they were outplayed early and Jordan Binnington performed. So that's pretty exciting, and I'm anxious to see how a team the caliber of Vegas counters and adjusts for tomorrow night. And then how the team here in St. Louis adjusts, going up against a team of that caliber. What will the Blues do? So it'll be a hell of an opportunity to see what they can do in back-to-back against a caliber of opponent of the Vegas Golden Knights. Pre-game here on 101 ESPN is at 7 p.m. tomorrow. Jackson, adjust accordingly.
Yeah, gotta make sure my schedule works out for that.
You will move some things around,
no doubt. One of the questions I had about the Blues, because we're about a quarter way through the season at this point.
More so.
Yeah. What letter grade would you give them, given their preseason?
Boy, I got to tell you, it's very sports talk radio cliche question, but it's so tough. Yeah. Because there are games where you're like, oh my God, that was an F. And then the games you go, oh my God, that was an A+.
Yeah, and given the preseason expectations where things kind of...
So if you take a step back, I'd be curious, this is sports talk radio cliche, but I'm actually really curious what the audience says, especially with how passionate people who listen to the station are about the Blues. I would say you'd have to go B or B+.
I was going to say in the B to high B range, because...
But the weird part about it is there have been so many Fs or Ds, and then some A's or A+. Yeah. There really haven't been that many C's,
That's kind of the nature of the season, is it's like... But
the thing that excites me the most is really, honestly, is Jake Neighbors, and then also Colton Parayko finding it and going, there might be really something there. And so the PK, A, power play, F. So therefore, what would your average be on special teams? C, but yet they're not C at all.
Right.
It really is odd. This time last year, we were already kind of going, boy, if they don't go on a run, they're going to be selling. And this year, it's like, kind of buy, but there isn't a lot of room to buy. And then deep down, do you really believe that this team, which right now would be playing the team they played last night and will be playing again tomorrow in the first round, can really beat them? No, but, one of the teams that a lot of the guys who were part of that 2000 through 2004 run cite as their best chance to win the Cup was a team that lost in the first round, and that was the 2003 Blues. And that was because the big boys at that time, the Avalanche and the Red Wings, got knocked off in the first round. And so it was there for them. And they had a 3-1 series lead on the Canucks that year. And then they all got sick, and then they lost the series. And I really felt like they left one out there. Plus, they had a goalie in Chris Osgood, who they felt like they could really have a run with, whereas they didn't necessarily feel that way about Roman Turek or Brent Johnson the years before. So with that all established, they felt like they left one out there. Point being, hey, if you can get past one, and it happens, you never know. And heroes emerge and surprises occur. And that's one of the things that, is great about the hockey postseason. Unlike 162 games of the baseball playoffs and playing 2 games, you get a chance to see teams emerge and get hot, as we saw January through June in 2019 here in St. Louis. So I don't see it. But if you would ask me in December of 2018 if I thought the Blues would be hoisting the chalice in 7 months, I would have said, well, I mean, I'll give you 1,000 to 1 if you're interested. Right. So either way, the fact that you don't know what you're going to get, in a way, it can be irritating when it's one of those rough ones.
Yep.
But at the same time, you have a game like that, and it wasn't because they played a great team game so much as Binnington was just ridiculous last night against that caliber of opponent. I'm sure that frustrated the hell out of the Golden Knights. God, so play a good team game tomorrow and get 4 points from those guys. That'll get some people fired up, man. So great win last night. Feel like you stole a couple there. And now you're playing with house money tomorrow in St. Louis. So 10:16 in St. Louis. Time check brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers. The Little Piddles Tuesday Turbulence is underway. We're talking Cardinals, winter meetings. John Mozeliak's comments next here on Balloon Party, driven by Munganess, Burkhardt, Alton Toyota on 101 ESPN and the 101 ESPN YouTube channel. Welcome back. This is 101 ESPN. My name is Tim McKernan. That is Jackson Burkett. The program is called Balloon Party, and it airs for 1 hour between 10 a.m. and 11 a.m. Jackson, go in that YouTube chat and see what's going on. See what's doing. Show your respect. Kiss the ring of tiny pee-pee.
I have a request for the YouTube chat.
This is for them, or this is from the YouTube chat?
For them,
okay.
Actually. I'd like to mobilize them because they're so passionate. We've cultivated such a wonderful community. I can't tell if my T-shirt currently is light blue or white.
Well, it's white. I mean, I could have helped you out with that.
It looks light blue to me.
Oh, no. Is something going on?
Well, I have partial colorblind, but I
have a problem with black socks and navy socks.
Yeah, I have the same thing. Dark brown, black.
Fortunately, I
dark green. Yeah, that
dress like I live under an overpass every day to work, so it really doesn't come into play that often.
Right.
But I'll do it, and I think my wife thinks I'm like doing it as like a bit.
Statement? Yeah.
Like, hey, I know we've been together now for 15 years. Let me keep things lively. Ooh, what are you going to do? What about these socks? Are they black or blue? Oh, that's so hot. But you at 25, I guess age has nothing to do with color blindness.
Yeah.
It's white. It's not even a sweat.
Okay, I'm good. I bought it thinking it was white, but then when I saw it in the bag, it looked like powerfully baby blue to me. So just want to make sure it's coming across as white.
I asked the people on their vote for the Blues and got some B's and got some C's. That's interesting. I mean, hey, to each their own. I suppose really most of the games have been in the some A's and some F's.
Yeah.
So I suppose if you were to, it depends. Are you going average or are you going median? Are you going average or are you going median? And then we're going to math, and people aren't interested in that, but they are interested in the Cardinal winter meetings. What do we have, Jackson?
So we have some John Mozeliak sound.
Yeah, he was doing media appearances and naming names when it came to trades, which, hey, they haven't done that before, so fine, change up the strategy. I guess this is part of it.
Yeah, so the first clip here is John Mozeliak's opinion of where the Cardinals are at right now.
Well, expectations are high. You don't go and do what we just did hoping to just get back to 80 wins. I mean, our expectations are to put a real team out there that not only will compete for our division, but hopefully play into October. But I think when you look at our club overall, especially from a roster standpoint, we have great balance. Obviously, a Mason Wynn, Jordan Walker, these guys are only 22 years old. Yeah. And then you couple that with a Goldie and an Arenado, we really do feel like we have great balance. And so obviously we're going to have someone step up, someone emerge to be the next superstar. But, we have a lot of confidence in our everyday life.
What, do you walk into the club midway through the interview?
Yeah, well, just kind of like a little musical interlude.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I want like a lo-fi hip-hop beat behind every SportsCenter update of mine.
Well, you ought to do it. I mean, you're in charge over there. You're on the ones and twos. You're the one who's going to update us on the NBA in-season tournament in 9 minutes.
You better believe it.
Thank you.
What an atmosphere.
All right, what else do we have? Because Rocchio said this was a big topic of conversation this morning, as did Randy Carricker, along with Kerry Davis not liking the SEC on opening drives. What else do we have from John Mozeliak?
Mozeliak talking about what they're going to do with Nolan Gorman.
Okay.
Give me a moment. Sorry.
Well, I think the key is when you're the manager of that club, you're just trying to find these guys at bats. And I think that was one of the frustrations we had last year when we got off to that slow start. Really couldn't get anybody hot. And I think in Gorman's case, Brendan Donovan, these are like young, talented players that need the everyday at bats, and that's going to be the trick for us.
Okay. I don't have a problem with anything he's saying.
And then the last clip we got is talking about what a deal possibly for one of these young outfielders that they have.
Okay.
Yeah, I do think it would be a surprise if we weren't able to do that. We still would like to try to improve our bullpen, and if we could use one of those pieces to maybe do that, that's something we'll definitely try. More importantly, we also just have to clear the slate a little bit because guys are looking for that regular playing time and those regular at-bats, and that's something we need to do.
All right. I don't know. I agree with everything. I don't have a problem with it. But that's so... I'd never be able to stand next to Dan Orlovsky with that kind of opinion, but I have to tell you, I mean, I would imagine, I can't imagine that there are Cardinal fans who are super excited about what they have done this year, like super excited.
Right.
To date, I mean, we're talking December 5th, so it's like breaking down a baseball game in the second or third inning. I think this was like the first anniversary of the Contreras signing. So it's still super early in the offseason. The Cardinals they signed a lot of people. I don't know if they really fixed a lot of things, but they signed a lot of people who throw baseballs in the first inning. but I don't know if they necessarily solid. It's tough here because I think the audience views it through, okay, are they a world championship contender lens now? And I never thought that was on the table. So my lens, and I can't change it for the audience, was, God, I hope this franchise doesn't go on a form of a kamikaze mission financially this offseason as an overcorrection to last year's debacle of 71 wins. And so I don't want to see them take on contracts that will be horrible dead money in the back half of the decade that really hamstrings the franchise and makes the 20s something similar to the 1970s around here. And the 1970s, for the record, were a disaster. So from that standpoint, it's like, okay, yeah, maybe they'll pull off a big surprise and do something next year. But at least to date, they haven't signed some guy in his 30s to a long-term deal. And so that's my view of the offseason. But I know that's not the view of most fans. What is your view of what he said and also what they have done to date?
From what he said, I guess the only thing that's like newsworthy, and that came from yesterday, him talking about Tyler O'Neill probably being the one who's going to...
And his logic for that was everybody's talking about it anyway, so we might as well talk about it.
Right. And with that, you're going to have to package up younger prospects or some other people because a straight Tyler O'Neill deal probably isn't moving the needle too much.
For a bullpen guy, you could do it.
Yeah.
For a bullpen guy, you could do it without question. But for an exciting starter, it's not going to happen.
Right. But either way, that was from what Mozeliak said. That's what I took away most. When I look at the offseason as a whole, I think of last season, 2023, as like the entire team playing to an extent well below what they're capable of. Like, we knew the pitching was going to be a problem going into the season, and so that was expected. But the offense for big stretches of the season was not great. Like, certain guys, like Arenado had some struggles, right. Goldie had struggles, Walker obviously had some weird up and down moments with his rookie season. I just think if they play even closer to that mean baseball that they play, or even just like a little bit above that, they are a really good team. They just have pitching problems, and they've filled up some pitching gaps. If you can get even part of what Sonny Gray did last year and then have innings eaten by Lance Lynn and Kyle Gibson, I think you're going to be competitive all the way through September. I really do. I'm
not playing devil's advocate just to play devil's advocate. I'm playing it because I think there's merit to it, but it's certainly not certain. Mm-hmm. And by that, I mean, this is kind of operating. I don't want to say it's on the hope train because I felt like last year's pitching plan was the hope train. We hope Jack Flaherty returns to form. I feel like the criticizing the Adam Wainwright thing is so results-oriented because Adam Wainwright was great through like the first week of September 2022. And then it's like, oh, he was just greedy. Like this dude, with $175 million in the bank's like, if I don't come back for another $15 million, we're going to have a real tough time getting
Belt
through
tightening.
it. But whatever. That's talking to the fringes. Paul Goldschmidt is older. Nolan Arenado is getting older, even though we might not view him that way. And it might not necessarily return to what it was before. We're comfortable talking about Lance Lynn and Kyle Gibson and Sonny Gray's age, but the reality is those guys are in the Goldschmidt and some of them in the Arenado age range. And so you don't get stronger as you age. It's just unfortunate. That is the nature of the beast. And so therefore, to have what you're talking about of some semblance of a bounce back to their mean may be hopeful. And again, I'm not saying it cannot happen because I agree that it was also an outlier that they all were struggling at times together, as he made reference to. I would say actually the better chance of the offense as a whole improving may come from guys who would be younger and who have shown real flash, but haven't necessarily done it super consistently at the big league level. And that would be, your younger players, including Newt Barr at 26 in that equation. Certainly Jordan Walker and Mason Wynn, who has not hit at the major league level yet. He's shown the defense and the arm, but he hasn't hit at the major league level yet. And that providing some upside along with Donovan, and who they talked about this morning in Derek Gould's article in the Post-Dispatch, Tommy Edman, who might wind up being the starting center fielder, in addition to the young second baseman, I guess, occasional DH, I guess, Nolan Gorman. So you would want to kind of have Arenado go back to being better than he was because he is not in his late 30s yet, but he is trending toward the point where you go, yeah, he's a little older, and the defense did take a step back. I still wouldn't write him off at all, for the record. But I also hope, like hell, we don't hear about a Paul Goldschmidt extension. And I wonder if that will be happening. I feel like we've lived through that before with first basemen in their late 30s and liking them, But either way, for the purpose of next year, he's here. And I just think that it's irresponsible isn't the right word. I think it's hopeful to think that Gibson, Lynn, Gray, Goldschmidt, guys who are at that point in their career, pop up.
Yeah.
That's just not the way that it works. It's not anybody's fault. But again, I don't necessarily think the Cardinals are going in next year going, this is a year where we have a chance to win a World Series. At the same time, anytime I say that, I have to say, look who's gotten to the World Series.
Right.
And you go, well, crap, they can get there. So I like what they've done because they haven't gone all in. And I wouldn't go all in, especially with the television situation, whatever they're dealing with there, but then also with the ages of some of their players. So my weird analysis is I like it that they've improved, but that they haven't done so at the cost of really risking the back end of the decade. And I still think they're going to make a move. That's the other part of it, to evaluate the offseason when we're in the third inning of the offseason is not necessarily irresponsible, but incomplete. So that's where I'm coming from on it. All right, it is 10:32 in St. Louis. Tim McKernan, Jackson Burkett with you. The program is called Balloon Party. We are in the midst of the Little Piddles Tuesday Turbulence. What's coming up in Tuesday Turbulence now that we've talked Blues and Binner, Chicken Dinner, and the Cardinals in winter meetings? What could you possibly have? And you've also given your Mount Rushmore of great NHL sweaters and the worst NHL sweaters. What could you possibly have left?
I have some pretty fun macro questions about sports in general, maybe some changes, some sports business stuff.
Wow.
I don't want to give away too much, but I think
you're getting better at teasing.
I think there's some good stuff in there, a little Mizzou football too. Like I have a wide variety.
All right, fair enough. We'll find out what's coming up. It's the second half of Balloon Party coming your way here on 101 ESPN and the 101 ESPN YouTube channel. Certainly grateful to any business who sponsors the program, and that is Munganess, Burkhardt, Alton Toyota. But also, I'm just grateful, even if they didn't sponsor the program, to have gotten to know the people at Munganess, Burkhardt, Alton Toyota, and Munganess St. Louis Acura, because they do such a wonderful job, not just in taking care of me and my family, but really, it is so great to be able to hear from listeners who then decide, because they listen to us talk about Munganess St. Louis Acura and Munganess Burkhardt Alton Toyota on TMA, on 101 ESPN, on the Tim McKernan Show podcast, and then they do business with them. And then they have a great experience. And I can say without thinking twice when somebody emails me or DMs me on social media, yeah, for real. Usually I put them in an email with Jamie Burkhardt, or I give them that number of 314-252-0029, and just know that they're going to have a positive experience. That is a great thing when you do what I do for a living, to be able to do, especially in the automotive industry. It's Munganess, St. Louis Acura, Alton Toyota, Munganess, Burkhardt, Alton Toyota. Online at stlouisacura.com or altontoyota.com. Work with them. You will be thrilled that you did. I am certain of it. stlouisacura.com, altontoyota.com. Munganess, St. Louis Acura, Munganess, Burkhardt, Alton Toyota.
This is Action Jackson with a Sports Center update brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling. The Blues win in overtime last night, 2-1 over the Vegas Golden Knights. That game was in Las Vegas. The Blues will be playing tomorrow night against Las Vegas, but in St. Louis. And you can, of course, catch that game right here on the home of the Blues, 101 ESPN. The pregame will be at 7 p.m. and the puck drop at 8 p.m. And last night in the NBA, the Pacers defeat the Celtics 122-112 in the quarterfinals of the NBA in-season tournament. The Celtics are now eliminated. Tyrese Halliburton with a triple-double, 26 points, 10 rebounds, and 13 assists. That was another Sports Center update brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, an independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer.
Welcome back, 101 ESPN. Tim McKernan, Jackson Burkett with you on the program. Second half of Balloon Party. For those of you interested in non-sports topics, we will be doing a live QFTA, that stands for Questions from the Audience, on the Tim McKernan Show. The YouTube channel, youtube.com/TMASTL. That is coming your way at 11:15. So we'll go right down the hallway. And we'll knock that out, Jackson. And I say knock that out. It makes it sound like, oh, I just got to get it done. No. I look forward to it. We love doing QFTA. So that's coming your way at 11:15. Also here on 101 ESPN, in addition to the second half of Balloon Party and the Little Piddles Tuesday Turbulence, join in the holiday spirit by helping 101 ESPN support Operation Food Search throughout the month of December. We've partnered with STL Shirt Company to offer a special 101 ESPN online merch store this month, offering 101 ESPN t-shirts, hoodies, hats, and more. Plus, we've brought back some of your favorite designs, including the Dunk shirts, Be Patient shirts, and Jamie Rivers and Brad Thompson jerseys. Order any 101 ESPN swag during the month of December, and proceeds from all sales will go to support Operation Food Search. Visit the 101 ESPN online merch store now at 101ESPN.com, powered by McBride Homes. All right, Jackson, you deep teased so effectively the second half of Balloon Party today. I'm piqued with curiosity here. So what do you got?
So this is not one of my more macro questions, but I do think it brings up a fun trip down memory lane to an extent.
Okay.
Cody Schrader has run amok over the SEC, coming from his humble beginnings from Truman State all the way to leading rusher in the SEC. Last night, he was awarded the Burlsworth Award, given to the most outstanding player who started as a walk-on. Does Cody Schrader now enter into the pantheon of feel-good stories in St. Louis area sports history?
I'm going to give you another chance on one of the words you struggled with there.
Pantheon? Pantheon? I used the word correctly, but pronouncing it seems to give me a little bit of trouble.
Pantheon.
Pantheon.
It's all right. You know what? I still think you're a champion.
Thank you.
No problem. I was so distracted by the use of Pantheon, though.
Here,
Pantheon of what? Just finish on the back end, because
Sure.
I got the...
Does Cody Schrader enter into the pantheon
Nice.
of feel-good stories in St. Louis area sports history?
Boy, you go St. Louis sports history, that's tough, although it may be live. I mean, you're talking about when you go there, and I'll inevitably forget some. I mean, you go Maroon, Freeze, Warner, and that's kind of otherworldly because you're talking about championships.
Yeah.
And St. Louis and Missouri isn't necessarily, although I think it's certainly much more so now than it was 4 months ago.
St. Louis guy as well.
He is, and also super. There's a video, by the way. This will get you going, even though you didn't get to watch him when you were, old enough. Norm Stewart. Did you see that interaction with him walking up to Norm Stewart? They celebrated 30 years of Coaches versus Cancer. Norm Stewart at the halftime of the Missouri basketball Wichita State game on Sunday, and he walked up to Norm Stewart because the football team was out there as well, celebrating the announcement of the Cotton Bowl. And Norm Stewart was out there with some of his former players and introduced himself, and you can read the lips and how respectful he was. And then Norm Stewart puts his arm around him. He goes, "Oh, I've watched you play." What a great interaction.
For real.
I don't know him. I'm looking forward to having him on the podcast at some point because he's done a bunch of interviews now. And at this point, I know he's probably worn down. It's like when you do like an interview and somebody's promoting a book or something and you're like 50th in line.
Yeah.
But a few of my friends know him and or played sport. Their kids played sports with him, I guess, and just talk about. I was a Missouri football fan. I am a fan of what he did. I really think if you want to, reverse engineer, we didn't know how good he was I would say really until the Tennessee game. Tennessee game being November 11th. Mm-hmm. The week before was the Georgia game. The Georgia game didn't end, but the moment I would imagine most Missouri fans go, was the interception.
Yep.
Knowing what we know now after what we saw against Tennessee, Florida, and Arkansas, and we were just starting to see it, and he was doing it against Georgia, and I believe he finished with 115 yards against Georgia.
Right.
And I was thinking it at the time, but I still wasn't necessarily fully bought in. Like, I know this might sound weird, but just keep giving the ball to Cody Schrader to run against Georgia down in the fourth quarter. I mean, that just sounds like you don't say that. No. It'd kind of be the equivalent of like Ohio State and their defense, like the real Ohio State or Michigan, or what Florida State became out of necessity after Jordan Travis's injury, to go, just run the walk-on against Georgia, this otherworldly team, down in the fourth quarter. But I kind of thought it at the time, and I realized that play was out, and I'm not like, Brady Cook, what did you do? It was a terrible set of circumstances. Missouri doesn't get there without Brady Cook, so that's not a shot at Brady Cook. It's a compliment to Cody Schrader. And to think that, Tennessee was down this year, Florida was down this year, Arkansas was a mess this year. But to think he did that against Georgia, which really was the moment I think the country paid attention to Missouri. It wasn't beating Kentucky or South Carolina or, winning throughout the month of September. They paid attention to the K-State win because of the 61-yard field goal. It was Georgia when the country goes, holy crap. And then when they beat the crap out of Tennessee the same week that Ole Miss got worked over, like, Missouri must be for real. That was the moment that the country started paying attention. But it was Cody Schrader's time. First month was Luther Burden. Yeah. Second month, to an extent, was Brady Cook. And then November became Cody Schrader. And the defense in parts over that time, in particular after the first quarter against Kentucky. My point being, as far as it coming out of nowhere, it's up there with Kurt Warner. Mm-hmm. As far as the accomplishment goes and feel good, and again, I'm only going back 24 years here, right. But you got Warner and Maroon and Freeze play a role in championships. And so I don't know if I can put it at that level. But what I really want to talk to Schrader about, and I'm really looking forward to this whenever I get the chance, in a sit-down interview, is what kept him going. What kept him going?
Yeah.
Like, that's, we talked last week, I don't know how it came up, we talked about winning players and the traits. And certainly there are just, whether it be the genes you inherit or some freakish fast-twitch muscles. Like, Adam Long's of St. Louis who plays on the PGA Tour, and I've played golf with him a few times down in Jupiter. And, he, like one time I outdrove him. He was playing from the back tees and I was playing from like the blues. And I jokingly took out a video and I go, oh, here, what's it like? He goes, oh, are we playing the same tees? And he like hits it 280 and Rory McIlroy hits it 50 yards past him. And I go, how does he do that? He goes, they're just gifted with fast twitch muscles. Well, some people are gifted with things. And then you get into the work ethic thing. But then there's also this abstract of it consumes your life. And in a way, I keep going back to it because we'll sometimes talk about it with work ethic having nothing to do with sports. It probably would be a more pleasant way to live if you weren't consumed by it. Right. If Michael Jordan weren't consumed by it, he'd probably be a more pleasant guy. If Tiger Woods weren't consumed by it, probably be a more pleasant guy. But at least in their cases, they won green jackets and NBA championships. Here's a guy who was, playing at the lower level of college football who was still consumed by it and also confident that as soon as he got his chance, he would do it. And then he did it, and he did it in the SEC and led the SEC. I mean, holy crap. So when you think about that part of it is actually more impressive than Freeze, Maroon, and Warner, because in their cases, they had done it at high levels. David Freeze had already been a Major League Baseball player. Pat Maroon had already played in the NHL. And Kurt Warner, while it was out of absolutely nowhere, and I'm not downplaying it, and all three of those guys, by the way, are like the greatest guys in different ways. Freeze and Maroon are certainly a lot more in common than, Warner and Freeze, or Warner and Maroon. but all really quality people that you'd be happy to meet and introduce your kids to. But Schrader hadn't done it.
Yeah.
And then he kept grinding, and he was the guy, and I can't recall, I think it was Missouri assistant coach goes, see that guy out there? He's by himself on the field at 10 at night. That's what separates you guys from him.
Yeah.
And I'm going, how do you, because it really is, it sounds cliche, it really is Rudy.
Yeah.
The Notre Dame movie, which certainly was, license was taken with what really happened.
You mean
with
the jersey scene didn't really?
Rudy Rudiger, poor Dan Devine, became the bad guy. But either way, that's what that was. Right. And it inspired people because, of course, not everybody is born with the fast twitch muscles that allow athletes to either run as quick as they can. I cited Rory McIlroy to hit a golf ball, even though he's my size, as far as he hits it. But everybody can make the choice to work their ass off, and whether that be in sports or in their own profession. And that is something that as a parent you can point to your children and tell that story. And also you as somebody who, whether you played like you did or wanted to play like I did, go, God, I admire that. I also think it's kind of effing crazy, but I admire the hell out of it that when he is 50 years old, he's not going to look back and go, I wonder what if. He did it. And whether he ever carries a football in the NFL or not, he will go down as a Missouri sports legend, and he should. Not necessarily, though, because of what he accomplished between the hedges on November 4th or against Tennessee or against Florida, or against Arkansas, and whatever happens against Ohio State, but because he didn't leave a stone unturned. And that is what I admire. It is 10:50 in St. Louis. You are listening to Balloon Party on 101 ESPN. Welcome back. It's Balloon Party 101 ESPN. Final segment regarding Cody Schrader. I need Tim's monologue just now to have a Star-Spangled Banner instrumental in the background. Got the guy fired up, or the lady. Apologize. I got them fired up. How about that, Jackson?
Well done.
Thank you so much. Jackson, what else do you have in this Little Piddles Tuesday turbulence?
Yeah, all right. I was gonna do this big macro question, but we're a little
It's 10:55 Clarkson Jewelers time.
We're a little
Jack.
short on time, so I'm gonna save it for tomorrow's
Okay. Wide Berth Wednesday.
because I think it's still a good.
And we
question
got
for us.
QFTA coming your way at 11:15.
Yep.
YouTube.com/TMASTL. So you can partake there. We'll be there in 20 minutes. And that's sports and non-sports. And I use profanity because I'm not well-mannered and I'm a hoodlum from South St. Louis.
A heathen.
Thank you.
This is a gambling, little quick hitter wagering question.
Okay, I like those.
We briefly talked yesterday on TMA about the weird line with the Eagles and 49ers, where the Niners were laying 3.5 or 3 on the road. That, of course, covered with ease as the Niners smoked the birds. What is with the weird lines in football where it looks so odd? Would you call that a public trap? If bettors see these odd lines, would it behoove them to go against their instinct and lean into the stink?
Yes, absolutely. The answer to that is absolutely. As to why it happens, and I would tell you at about a 3 out of 4 clip, which certainly would make you profitable. It's not absolute, so when it doesn't happen, don't go, see, it doesn't work. I mean, you're welcome to, but, you're probably not best suited to be gambling.
Yeah.
Because gambling is never about sure things. No. It's about probabilities. I have no idea why. None. And I am telling you where it happens the most, without question, is the NFL. Yep. I saw that, and I make my picks for the Circa Millions, which I've been mathematically eliminated from since September. But I think I was 3-1 going into my final game. I'm like, oh, what did I pick for the 5th game on Sunday? Because I do them on Thursday because I have a proxy in Las Vegas who runs and submits the picks at Circa Sportsbook for me. And I got to get him to them, which sucks because I got to get him to by Saturday. And a lot of time, the information you need, you don't get till like a half hour, well, not half hour. Oh, the weather half hour.
Weather, yeah, and sometimes
the injury report is the biggest thing. So whatever, I'm just dead money. But I'm not bitching about that. I'm making the observation that I go to see what my 5th game was because I had forgotten, and I took the Eagles, and I'm like, what am I doing? Like, I know better than that. Right. I can't, if anything, I kind of can't believe I didn't take the 49ers. I don't know if I misclicked it. I have no idea. Yes, the Philadelphia Eagles at 10-1 were getting, I think, initially 3.5 against the 49ers. And don't get me wrong, the 49ers are a great team. But the Eagles at home getting that, I can't imagine how many people lost money on that.
That had to be the public game of the week, like everyone, because you're right. Those are the 2 probably best teams in the NFC, and you're getting one of them, the home team, getting 3 points at home. You're like, this is free money.
It's one of those things. And again, I'm sure somebody's going to text in, I took the 49. Well, wonderful. This isn't about you. It's about, the hundreds of thousands of people who bet. And I would imagine your neighborhood bookie and the sports books all were certainly leveraged if the 49ers were to have lost. But in this case, there it is. It's just and they're not every week.
No.
I'll tell you what I did bet on Sunday, and it was at the same time as the Eagles 49ers. But I just scrolled through, and it was a total, and everybody was on. Do you know which one I'm going with? The Rams and Browns under. I couldn't tell you. I don't know if I could name 10 people on those 2 teams. I didn't even know where they were playing. Yeah. I just saw the discrepancy between where the public was and where the money was. And if it gets to 40%, I don't even know what it is, but I have an obligation to my family, a fiduciary responsibility to make us money real quickly and put it on the over. I didn't even bother checking. It's like I know. Yeah. And then sure enough, later on, like the over-under was 39.5 on those 2 teams flopping around with Joe Flacco quarterbacking the Browns. And sure enough, it was like 33-19. It was, it was never a sweat. I have no explanation as to why this happens. I would tell you it's very suspicious. I mean, there's no other way to describe it other than suspicious. It is suspicious, but I also don't know how to explain it. Yeah. I mean, if there really is some great conspiracy, a lot of people are keeping their mouths shut on this thing, but it is so amazingly consistent year in, year out, the way the game that strikes you as being obvious goes the opposite. Yep. It's it doesn't even, like I said, I scrolled to see the score real quick. I'm like, oh, sure enough, the Browns and Rams are going off, offensively. I'm going to win. I don't even think anything of it. It's got nothing to do with any knowledge of the teams. It's, this is weird. Everybody's doing this. All the squares, all the guys who lose on $20 bets. So you just go the opposite, and that's it. That's all I do. And it wins in those situations like 75% of the time. At least, I might be underselling it. All right, time for us to go. We'll be on youtube.com/TMSTL in 15 minutes talking nonsense. That is QFTA on the Tim McKernan Show podcast. BK and Ferrario up next. For Action Jackson, I'm Tim McKernan. This has been Balloon Party, driven by Mungan Burkhardt, Alton Toyota on 101 ESPN and the 101 ESPN YouTube channel.